Good evening and welcome everyone. This is the coaches and coxswains meeting for the Wormtown Chase. My name is Thad Gamula and I'll be helping to present the information tonight. Also here is our chief referee, Laura Kunkemuller. Laura will jump in a little later into the presentation. For those of you who are unfamiliar, the regatta is held out of the Donahue Rowing Center, located at 237 North Quinsigamond Drive in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. Okay, first off, we need to do some housekeeping. Let's discuss everybody's favorite topic, parking. Coaches, I ask, please do your best to pass this info on to parents and spectators for your respective teams. I can't stress it enough that we need to follow these rules. On the screen is an overhead view of the DRC and the adjacent state boat ramp. Parking in the lot directly behind the boathouse, labeled permit parking only, is just that. Please do not park here unless you have been given a permit to park there. Absolutely no spectators, athletes, or unauthorized vehicles. You will be towed or ticketed if you are in this lot and are not supposed to be. Team vans and only team vans can park in the dirt lot on the hill above the boathouse. You can see it's named right above the permit parking only. That will be team vans, not team buses, and not personal athlete cars or spectator cars. This is for team vans only. Boat trailers, for those of you who are familiar with this, will park in the same spot, south side of the boat ramp, and team buses are going to go to the north. There's, I think we have 12 spots listed there. There's plenty of space. Plenty of space for everybody, and then there's plenty of room to unload and rig in the middle of the boat ramp there. Buses, once again, plenty of space. There shouldn't be an issue with team buses and team trailers. Please note the roadway in front of the boathouse driveway and south of the boathouse is absolutely no parking. It says no parking all along. There are actual no parking signs all along here. I suggest they are adhered to. We will have multiple police officers working on Saturday to ticket vehicles as needed. So just so everybody's warned. Here's another view of the DRC and adjacent boat ramp. Once again, you can see the team van parking, team buses, and trailers. Please note the allowed parking areas for team operations, as discussed. I would like to direct everyone's attention to the driveway across from the state boat ramp, where from where you're parking team trailers. This driveway belongs to the post office. At no point in time should anyone be trespassing on their property. This includes everything from parking to warming up. Please, we've built up our reputation with them. Please stay off their property. Once again, you can note the no parking on the road south of the boathouse. And then spectator and athlete personal cars can park anywhere north of the boat ramp. The boat ramp lawn. So once you're north of the boat ramp lawn into the first section of trees, you're clear to park. And just make sure there are a few spots that the local police department has put signs saying no parking for access for either houses or for town facilities. Please don't park in front of a no parking sign. I know it's silly to say, but it has to be said. Just be aware for the amount of people we expect and for the hopefully nice weather. There is a limited space and this fills up quickly along the road. And because of that, my recommendation would be, if you have coxswains, coaches, if you want to send something out to your spectators, we will be running a shuttle, and I highly recommend to utilize our shuttle. There will be a shuttle service between the state boat ramp and the Shrewsbury High School from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. The address is on the screen, and all of this information is also on the parking tab of Regatta Central. So please, coaches, coxswains, if you know where to send out to your parent groups, let them know that this is being used. It'll make everybody's lives a lot easier. The parking lot is all the way at the far end of the school. You can see in the circle. And just once again, I highly encourage parking in this location. It'll make everything easier. You won't have to walk along the roadway. You won't have to worry about leaving your car in a breakdown lane or in a potential no parking zone. Please utilize the shuttle. Okay, now on to the part you're all here for. So launching boats will go off the south end of the DRC docks per usual. For those of you who have not been here before, you will walk your boats down from where your trailers are located through the gate of the DRC and line up at the top of the boat ramp. We will have a dock master directing traffic. For launching, you'll be using the south end of the dock, the dock end that's pointing down towards the majority of the lake. We ask you to be quick on the dock with no more than one coach and two helpers. It is your job, coxswains, to get the boat on the water and off the dock as efficiently as possible. Coxswains, you will then proceed south on the Shrewsbury side. So if you're unaware of the layout, from where you're launching at the DRC is the Shrewsbury side. The far shore is the Worcester side. I will be referencing Shrewsbury side and Worcester side for most of this night. And kind of to double back, if you do have any questions during the entirety of this presentation, just hold on to them. There will be a question and answer segment towards the end of this where you have all the time to ask your questions. So once again, coxswains, once you launch, we'll proceed south on the Shrewsbury side. You will see a line of orange or red buoys straight down the middle of the lake. The entire time you're here, you're going to keep those buoys on your starboard side. It is highly recommended to at no point follow the shoreline, whether you're on the Shrewsbury or the Worcester shore. We have a low water level out there and several new shallow areas. It's highly recommended to follow the buoy line as best as you can. So just to skip through here, the first landmark you will see as you're traveling south is the Route 9 bridge. This is a large blue arch bridge, as you can see in the photo. You can't miss it. On your way to the start, you will go through the first full arch from the left or from the Shrewsbury shore. You can see in the picture, all the way to the right is kind of half arch. And this arch should be avoided as there is debris in the water here. Last thing you want to do is get a submerged shopping cart on your way to the start and lose a stick. After this Route 9 bridge, you will continue south until you get to the Narrows. The Narrows is kind of at the top of the screen where it looks very narrow, and let me tell you, it's a pinch point on the lake and aptly named. Please be aware of racing crews as you go through here. Do not try to pass other crews going to the start. There is not enough space. Remember, boats warming up must always allow racing crews precedence through here. Once you are past the Narrows, please go to the left of the first island. That's where the line of buoys is anchored to. And then between the next two, there's this similar warm-up to the Snake for those of you who have competed at that several weeks ago. And there will be a red buoy on the day of racing between the islands that you are going to keep on your starboard side. Now, this is a blow-up of the starting area. You can see the starting traffic going through the island. It's a larger island. You really can't miss it. You're going to go through that space on the lake between the large island and the smaller island. And really, to echo something John Quinn always says, if you're really unsure where you're going, follow a local crew. They know the lake and they know where they're going. There'll be a large line of boats going to the same place. As you come around that larger island, you will see shallow water marker and a rock outcropping off to your starboard side. This area is very shallow. Please stay away. The last island you will pass is a very small island named Lone Pine Island. It gets its name because it is very small with just a couple trees on it. From this island, you see a string of buoys going to the start. At the day of the race, there will be a large white buoy marking the start line at the end of this. And just so you're all aware, this will be the start line. Your warm-up area is just above the start line. It is a cove at the end of the lake. Please gather here and listen to the marshal's instructions for the start of your race. So now, I'm going to go through the rest of kind of the traffic pattern of the race, and then we'll go back to the start, and I'll pass it up to Laura. But during the race, you will need to watch out for the same obstacles and landmarks as your road to the start. Just before the Narrows, there is a city beach. This is a shallow location. Once again, there will be a buoy there. Please be careful. Once again, it is not recommended to follow the shoreline. Shrewsbury Shore, Worcester Shore, please don't follow the shoreline. You will regret it if you do. Remember, red buoys along the center of the lake are still on your starboard side during race. Watch next for the narrows. Once again, it's the pinch point. This side is wider for racing crews. There is more space in the race lane than there was in the warm-up lane, but you still need to keep your head on a swivel and watch for crews around you. There's enough space for 2 crews to pass. Once again, they will come up to the Route 9 bridge, follow buoys, and go through the second full arch from your right. Coxswains, the buoy line goes right to the pier between the 2 travel arches. It should be very easy to find the correct arch as long as you're keeping the buoys on your starboard side. After the Route 9 bridge, it is basically a straight shot to the finish line at the DRC. The finish line is marked by a large white buoy as the start was. It is in your best interest to finish closer to the buoy line rather than the shoreline. As you can see from the photo, there is a large shallow area directly across from the DRC. So just stay away from the shore in that side. Once you finish, please proceed past the finish line in order to clear it. Please do not stop your boat right after the finish line. Take at least 15 to 20 strokes beyond it in order to just clear it from other finishing crews. You will then turn your boat to your starboard side, go across the lake, and head south to the DRC docks. For those who haven't been here, you can see our dock system in the photo. You can see how it kind of looks like a Y with the arm of the Y facing south is the one you launch from, and the arm of the Y facing north is where you're going to land. Once again, we're going to ask that you're quick on the docks. Just be aware of crews around you if people are trying to launch and land. Now to go over the U.S. rowing side of the regatta and to instruct on the racing sequences, I would like to introduce the chief referee, Laura Kunkemuller. Laura?
Hello. Everybody, I'm not going to go through all of these in detail. I think maybe what we'll do is we'll start. Dad, could you go back up to the start picture? Probably easier to see there. Okay, so everybody, you're going to come up, and where that turn is on the picture, before your race, all boats in that flight need to be turned and pointed down the race course in a clump. So I want you to be nice and cozy, because then what's going to happen is, I'll be the starter, is I will call you one at a time, and we'll give you 2 commands. One, sit ready, and then go. But it's going to be interspersed. So for example, Shrewsbury, sit ready. Worcester, sit ready. Shrewsbury, go. Acton, sit ready. Worcester, go. And the reason that we're doing that is to have the proper interval between crews at the start. So you are expected to be at full pressure when you cross the start line, and we need to have about 10 seconds in between crews. If crews are overlapping at the start, that will incur a 10-second penalty. So it's very important that you're leaving spacing, and I will try and set you up that way. But once you've been given the command to go, you need to actually go and build to full pressure, so you're at full pressure coming past the start. And you need to pay attention to what's going on in front of you so that you're not overlapping when you get to the start. So if we work together, we can have a nice flow, and you can have a good aggressive race, seeing somebody in front of you, but without risking not getting your time or getting a penalty at the start. Thad, could you go back to the other slide? Okay, we will do our best to give everybody a race, but along with that goes the fact that we will start on time. So please be up and ready to race at the time of your race. Along with getting you a time is being able to identify who you are. So you need to have your bow number, you need to have the back number on your bow person as well. And please remind your bow person not to put a shirt over the number. You need to be able to see it. Okay. If you are being overtaken, you must move out of the way to the shore side. If you are overtaking, please be vocal about the fact that you're coming up. So we need people to work together to make sure that we don't have any incidents along the way. Now, occasionally, we will have a brief clashing of oars, and we will consider that to be a high five as you pass, and we're going to let that go. But if it becomes more than just incidental, then it will likely incur a penalty. So please avoid that. Buoys are pretty obvious along the way, both as Thad said, as you're going up to the start and as you're racing, you need to be aware of where they are and be on the proper side. And otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so here's a list of the penalties. These are pretty standard for a head race. It just slows you down if you run into somebody else. So avoid that. And we're going to make it worse by adding a 60-second penalty onto that. So please don't do that. And then obviously you have to be in the right arch. You don't want to be going right at somebody else. And don't be overlapping at the start. We talked about that. If you have a concern and you want to tell us about it and have a conversation on land, then you can do that. Please make sure that you find Thad when you get back onto land, and he and I will have a conversation, and we'll either come to a decision or convene a jury if we need to. I think that's it.
That is it. All right. At this point,
I think Mike had a question.
Mike, do you want to say something?
Yeah, no, not a question. If you could put up the finish line map.
Yes.
So based on the snake and what we're looking at for conditions of westerly and northwesterly wind, if crews turn along this path and they have to wait for more than 5 or 6 minutes because there's boats in front of them, they'll be on the shore with no place to navigate. I'd strongly recommend we have an official or place another buoy, and people should be going all the way down past the bridge and then turning to create a proper queue to land. Otherwise, it'll just be a gaggle of boats, and we'll have crews against the shore, and it won't be good. We saw that at the Snake a little bit. So mind the conditions and give yourself space between one another.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. So that pretty much brings us to the end of our presentation. If you have any questions at this time, by all means, you're going to use the question and answer function. And for those of you who don't know where that is, at the bottom right of your screen, if you're on a computer screen, there's an icon that looks like a triangle, a square, and a circle. If you click that, you will find the question and answer function, and you can enter everything from there. And while we wait for those to appear, please check the wormtownchase.qra.org site for all updates to the race schedule. I don't anticipate any updates, but if there are any, they will be there. Once again, a recording of this meeting will be available on the Quinsigamond Rowing Association YouTube channel. Coaches, if I've been hounding you about compliance for the past week, please continue to work on that. There are still a few lingering issues. I'm going to send out emails right after this presentation, after this meeting. And if you don't get anything from me, say by like 10 o'clock, you're in the clear now. But just check the compliance. There are still a couple schools with issues. All right, let's see what we have. First question, will dogs be allowed on the shuttle? That's a good question, actually. That's a very good question. We've had issues in the past. To the best of my knowledge, they will be, but please note, if your dog, the shuttle driver has the right to refuse a dog getting on the shuttle. I know it's kind of a bland answer, but just be aware. We've had issues in the past where dogs are not friendly on the shuttle, and it created a not a great environment. So if you know your dog's a little on the feistier side, we'll say, please just plan on arriving early and parking on the roadway just so you can walk your dog up instead of putting on the shuttle. Will there be a second white buoy to go around after the finish? That's a good question. I know at the Snake we did not have one, and at this point in time, I don't know if we have another one available. I think the white buoy on that will just be referenced. And as Mike said, please just continue rowing. Let's just say row all the way up to the bridge, turn from there. Just keep going, go up on the paddle. We'll say go up to the 290 bridge. It's a very large bridge. You can't miss it. And that'll be our target for after the finish. Then you can turn to starboard and come back. Next question. Will trailer parking be open Friday or wait until Saturday? And our spots first come, first serve. So yes, spots are first come, first serve. So where you're parking is a state boat ramp. It's a public area. By all means, you can try to park on Friday, but it's not secured. It's a public spot. The public is welcome to come in and come out. It's not really recommended to park the thing overnight. If you have to, make sure your stuff is secured. We take no responsibility for whatever happens. We highly recommend coming early on Saturday if that's your option and you can do that. Come early on Saturday. And yes, spots are first come, first serve. Are we going to go all the way down to the finish past the bridge and not the second? Yeah, double back on that. We're just going to say go to the bridge. Go after you finish, go to the 290 bridge. You'll see the big white buoy at the finish. You're going to paddle all the way down to the bridge, turn to starboard, and come back. Will someone be guiding trailers to park, or is it honor system to keep them tight? I don't believe we'll have anybody guiding trailers. Honor system, like I said, it's there's should be a decent amount of space. Just be friendly, be aware of what you need and what the person next to you is going to need to get their boats off. You should not have to be rigging boats directly next to your trailer. You can bring the boats out to the middle of the parking lot, as I stated. So you don't have to keep it all that tight. Will bow cards and bibs be provided? Where would you pick them up? Good question. Yes, bow cards and back numbers will be provided. The morning of the race, coaches, you will come to the DRC, come into the doorway. I will be there. I will be handing out bow cards as long as everybody in that boat is compliant and shows up compliant on my list. So I will get there early. I'll probably be there at 6:30, 6:45, but probably closer to 6:45. But come right into the DRC to pick up your bow cards. If we get to the finish line, there are high winds pushing us to shore and a lot of boats are. So the question is, if we get to the finish line and there are high winds pushing us to shore and a lot of boats around us, we have to paddle through the bridge that's there, spin, then make our way to the north side of the dock. Yes. Last time we're going to say it. You're going to go through the finish line, past the big white buoy. You're going to go all the way up to the 290 bridge. It's a large bridge. You can't miss it. It's, if you're familiar with our course, that's where we start our races from in the springtime. It's a large highway bridge. Once you get to the bridge, turn to starboard, and then make your way down. If there are high winds, just be aware. Keep yourself off the shore. Give yourself plenty of space. Is passing allowed in the narrows during the race? I understand it is not allowed in the rope to the start, but will there be penalties for passing in the narrows during the race?
I can answer that.
Go ahead, Laura.
Creating an unsafe condition for you or the other crew is never allowed, whether it's in the narrows or anywhere else on the course. So there will be a referee at the narrows who is watching out for you, both on your way up to the start and on your way down, to make sure that the situation there stays safe. If you find yourself in a situation where the only way to get by somebody is to push them into the shore, you need to wait.
And just to follow up with what Laura said, there is enough space. Just be safe.
Yep. And there will be no horn at the finish.
Correct. No horn at the finish. And then just to go over, if there are any questions, if you didn't want to ask a question on the question and answer side of things, please, by all means, stop in at the DRC in the morning of the race. Talk to the U.S. rowing officials. Laura will be there with everybody else who's going to referee that day. They're a very approachable group. They're always more than willing to answer any question anybody has. So don't be afraid to approach them and ask a question if something doesn't get answered, or you know, if you just need a clarification on something. Okay. And that is all of the questions. Laura, Mike, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add, or if we're all set.
I don't think so. We look forward to seeing you.
Perfect. All righty. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you all on Saturday. Have a good one. Bye.